Let's focus on a story that dominated headlines this week. The National Prosecuting Authority has denied reports that it is being funded by Steinhoff to investigate financial irregularities at Steinhoff. Spokesperson Sipho Ngwema says payment is going to a professional services firm, PwC, which has already been doing a forensic investigation into Steinhoff. Ngwema says the NPA will only be gaining access to the forensic investigation report by PwC. Now, the NPA says the new Steinhoff board is a complainant in this case and it is assisting the state to get to the bottom of the matter. Ngwema says after the departure of the management and board implicated in the accounting scandal, the new board instituted a probe. He says the forensic investigators are reporting directly to the investigators and prosecutors at the NPA as a measure to safeguard the credibility of the investigation. Ngwema says not using the forensic probe that has already been ongoing for 2 years would mean that the NPA would have to start the process from the beginning when there is work already done.
The payment that is being done is paid for the forensic services. And you must remember, we don't have some of this capacity and we are still building it up, given the fact that we have been weakened over the years. And therefore, we need this assistance from forensic investigator. You would know as well that in many cases, we do involve external forensic investigators. In some cases, Deloitte will be involved and they will be able to assist us in the criminal case. In this particular one, had we not gone for Pricewaterhouse, who were already doing a forensic for Steinhoff, it would have meant that we would either double or triple the time we are spending on the investigation. So in order for us to be able to access the work that had been done over years by Pricewaterhouse, then we're able to get that forensic report, which then is assisting us in terms of doing our criminal investigation. So there is no conflict that arises out of this at all. And must remember, this is a new board that has instituted this investigation, who themselves feel that they are victims of what may have happened before they came in.
All right, I'm now joined by the author of Steinhoff, Inside South Africa's Biggest Corporate Crash. That's James-Brent Styan. James, thank you for being with us. So we've chatted to you about Steinhoff before. Were you surprised to see this development? And is it a real distinction here that the NPA is not being paid by Steinhoff to investigate Steinhoff? The NPA will get access through Steinhoff to the PwC probe that's already been started.
Hi, Francis. Yeah, look, I suppose nothing can surprise us anymore when it comes to the justice system in South Africa. I mean, frankly, it is unacceptable in my view what we're hearing here, and frankly, the excuses and the stories being told by the NPA doesn't really gel. I mean, for example, why? If this new Steinhoff board is so wonderful and pure and holy-hearted, why don't they just release the 3,000-page report that PwC has drawn up and which they've refused to release to date? I mean, and now they're going to be paying. Now Steinhoff is paying PwC more money on top of all the other hundreds of millions they were paid before to do this whole audit over the past 3 years. But that report, the 3,000-page report with 4,000 pages of annexures, it hasn't been released to anyone. So it all smells a bit fishy to me, to be honest. I don't know what's going on, but it's very weird.
Yeah, it is often said, though, James, that the NPA, people have been saying, why is justice outstanding? Why aren't we on top of the Steinhoff case? And the NPA, we know, lacks resources, doesn't have the financial skills to sort of go after people doing very sophisticated financial fraud. So doesn't it make sense in a way to use the skills of PwC? Or are you saying actually the report could have been gained for free?
Well, this is the point. Then you subpoena the report, you take them to the Concord, and you say, but there's an existing report, give us the report. But you're perfectly right. It's now been 3 years. There's only one entity who can investigate Steinhoff, and that's the Hawks, the Police's Priority Crimes Unit. And their commercial crimes unit still doesn't have a CA or auditor or forensic expert in its ranks. It's disgusting. That's what it is. So throwing money at private players and saying, hey, why don't you come in and do the job? Because we don't have the means to appoint anybody from outside, or we don't have the means to build up a team. I mean, it's ridiculous. By the way, it's not just Steinhoff. You think of the Gary Porritts and Tigon and all of the and ShareMax. These cases, these are massive corporate frauds. They've been ongoing for 14, 15 years. It's utterly, it's just horrific. I don't know how to tell you. I'm just very disappointed in the justice sector as a whole, and frankly, I understand the point that let's get outside people in, let's fund them, but then for Pete's sake, you can't get the biggest accused number one, who's still sitting on billions, to pay for the investigation or the investigators. It just doesn't make any sense to me, especially given the fact that they didn't release the full PwC report in the first place. So, what are they paying for here?
Yeah. Well, the MPA is saying Steinhoff isn't accused number one. The former management, former management team is being accused. The former board that has left. You investigated this. Are you convinced that everybody who was involved has left Steinhoff and is now outside Steinhoff? So Steinhoff itself is now seen as squeaky clean and working with the MPA.
Look, I'm afraid it's not as easy as that. People didn't buy shares in Piet Pompies and Jan Pompies. They bought shares in Steinhoff, in this company. And the company still has a lot to do, in my view, to clean itself up and to tell those investors who lost billions, including the government employees' pension fund that dropped 20 billion. 20 billion is a ton of money. In total, about 300 billion in value was wiped out. And it's now 3 years later, not a person has been charged locally. It's just utterly confounding. And then the people who are supposed to be investigating this matter, there's just no people there who can do the job. So it's impossible to say whether anybody who was in on it, whether everybody has left Steinhoff since then. In all likelihood, they probably have. But the company certainly needs to do more, in my view, to regain confidence and if they want to keep trading and keep going, to tell people who've lost billions that, listen, we've cleaned up our act. And frankly, the fact that they haven't released that PwC report and been more forthcoming, to me, has always remained a concern and, frankly, a little unacceptable.
What do we make as South Africans of reports coming out of Germany that there are criminal charges now against Steinhoff execs? I don't think the names have been released yet, but we know Marcus Jooste likely to be among those being targeted in Germany. But here we're arguing about a forensic report.
Yeah, look, the problem with the reports coming out of Germany is it's all speculation still at the moment. We don't know who's named. There are a few media outlets claiming that Marcus Jooste is one of the three, but they're quoting an anonymous source. So we don't know for sure who the three executives are that are being charged in Germany. We also don't know what they're being charged for. In all likelihood, remember, Steinhoff is listed. Its primary listing was in Frankfurt in Germany. It could very well be contravention of some simple German tax law, and that they're being charged for that. It could be for a variety of things, so it's difficult. But, in other words, saying that it is speculation at this stage, it is always useful to see some progress somewhere. And certainly it's something we look forward to see what comes out of the German situation. And the question that I would have, and something that I would hope that people are asking our government, is if Mr. Jooste or other South Africans are named in this investigation, if they have to appear in a German court, will the South African government repatriate them to account for their crimes, or will they say no, we're still busy investigating them locally, we can't afford the embarrassment of having them tried elsewhere? And I have a sneaky suspicion our government won't extradite them, which is why Mr. Jooste is still having the time of his life in the Winelands.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, do we know where he is? James, final question. So if the NPA uses this report and it actually leads to prosecutions, will you back down and say, okay, it wasn't the best way to go about it, but at least it led to some justice?
Sorry, Francis, just repeat the question. If the MPA?
If the MPA uses this report from PwC and it really leads to hard evidence and prosecutions, would you say then, well, at least there was some justice?
No, of course. Look, I'm just speaking as an outsider, looking outside in. I mean, in all likelihood, we've got a bunch of, wonderful people here saying let's, in the interest of justice, come together and get some money to pass some money around and make sure that there is some closure and some finality. On the other hand, it might be another ploy by Steinhoff. I don't know, I'm speculating. I mean, we've seen Deloitte being willing to pay some fines. We've seen other entities, Steinhoff approaching some of the people litigating against Steinhoff, saying, listen, let's just settle this. So it might be a way of trying to make this whole thing go away, saying, listen, here's some money, see what you can do, let's just close this matter down and move forward. But time will tell. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, thank you for your analysis tonight. That was James-Brent Styan, the author of Inside South Africa's Biggest Corporate Crash. Steinhoff, Inside South Africa's Biggest Corporate Crash. We take a short break.